Hello and good evening, and welcome to another scene in Odessa, the Dark Crusade. As we begin within Elysium, Auric has set up some guards to guard the front entrance. Actually, there is only the front entrance, the rest of the area is walled off. It makes for a nice choke point. There are two on the outer wall area. It's not exactly a fort wall, it's just a small garden wall to keep out the riffraff. And on um, the inner uh, side, just outside the doors to the building, just outside the steps, there are two other guards standing watch, being paid rather well to basically stand around and do nothing. They've been informed to never enter under any circumstances and to prevent anyone else from entering that they have not been given a specific identification for, or name, perhaps would be another method. Which, of course, is fortunate for Volotech, who looks a bit like he'd have a bit of a hard time blending in. Um,
Yes, he would. Voltage is walking towards the Elysium, using his powers of obfuscation. As he approaches closer to the doors, the guards truly do not notice him whatsoever. This hulking brute of a creature, their eyes literally glance away, probably just looking at some of the belligerents, the drunks that are probably coming out of the local taverns, more inclined to watch them than the monster almost right near them. Volotej enters into the Elysium quietly and walks into the main room. He scans his eyes around and notice who is currently in here, seeing the Baron and another familiar face.
Nope, he doesn't.
She's not.
The seneschal is not presently at the room. So
no.
Is the Baron in here?
Oh yes. When you enter this room, of course, you would have noticed this before, but to do a bit of backtracking, you've just entered the main plaza, the Crimson Room, as it's called. Very lavish, made entirely of marble. There are a lot of large beds around, and there's actually one in the center of the room, actually. Appears to be a main place of social interaction. In fact, there are also quite a few mortals scattered around. You count maybe a dozen or so that appear to be extremely out of it, either dazed or asleep. But they don't appear to be unhappy. On the contrary, they seem like they're in a state of almost permanent bliss, euphoria, as it were. Auric seems to be heading towards you, now this time in more noble clothing, purple gowns, a sign of royalty. He appears to be walking away from one of these mortals who appears to be just completely unconscious at this stage.
I bow as like this, and I just await the Baron any commands he may give.
He appears to, as he walks towards you, he appears to narrow his eyes slightly, as if he's perhaps trying to recognize you, and then goes, Volotej, correct?
Yes, my lord.
I see. Is there something I can do for you this evening?
I simply wanted to come here to Elysium to see Just to check in to see if everything has gone well since a few nights ago when those Templars came around. I know there was a bit of a ruckus here.
Yes. So I heard. The individual involved has been removed, and we've increased security since then.
I see. Well, it is good. You're not any of the mortals coming in here like that, just barging through the doors. I thought he was one of us or a ghoul for a second, but it became very obvious very quickly.
I find it curious how Alaki knew where Elysium was. I suppose that is something I will have to look up on.
A bit of an excitement, but just sometimes there's some excitement that you don't want having, I guess. He just sort of scans his eyes at the mortals who are kind of in that strange daze. May I ask, what is wrong with them? Are they drunk or something? He's like scrunching his face up a bit, like, and you can really see all the lines, like, in his very kind of leathery face.
Some have been lulled into a peaceful sleep, others a benevolent trance.
Oh, interesting. Are they ghouls, or should I worry about them waking up? Or because I could change how I appear if that would be an issue.
They are servants that, in this case, serve as refreshments.
Oh, I apologize.
They will not remember your face. They are quite, well, a very specific kind of drunk. The air quotes drunk.
You'll just hear a bit of couple of footsteps coming down the stairs from inside more inside the building, and you'll see Madeline and this ghoul of hers come down, and she just whispers a couple of things to him, and then he just nods and heads over to a corner and sits down. He seems to be getting a beer or a glass of wine, more likely. She will just nod to the both of you and said, "Good evening."
Good evening, Madeline.
So, she looks at the Baron for a couple of moments, looks to Volatation, and she just says, "So, are we doing all right? I hope there has not been any new incidents in here."
None that I've heard of. No. I was meaning to actually ask you about if you have been able to figure out anything about that strange marking.
Oh, I have not had the chance yet.
Oh,
I will have time soon.
I see. It's very odd, very strange to see something like that in the city. I don't understand why that would be there. Very out of place. Do you have any idea as to why it was there?
This is not the first, what shall we say, encoded message or riddle, I suppose, that has been left to us. So,
You have uncovered more clues as to this.
Oh, hold on 1 second, guys.
I think we have, my baron.
Hmm.
She'll pull out a like parchment, and then it's like a charcoal rubbing of some symbols, and she'll just say, "I believe that this might be what was alluded to in the message I found. I'm not sure yet, but we will see."
Out of character, what was just said? Sorry.
No, it's just that she's just describing what she found last night.
Oh, okay. Voltage just sort of asks, do you have any idea who would have been making this trail of breadcrumbs?
Not quite sure yet, but I have a hunch, shall we say. That it
Oh,
is an Malkavian, but
Voltage, upon hearing the word Malkavian, kind of recoils a bit backward, and you see his very bestial eyes widen, and says, "Oh, one of them. I see." He's visibly. You notice he's visibly a little frightened by just the utterance of the word Malkavian.
she doesn't seem to react too much to it, but she just looks at Ulrich and just says, "I will look into it as soon as possible."
At this point, Voltage sits down. Is there, by any chance, still a servant that might be awake, so that he could possibly get a drink?
Yes. Well, the you can drink from the ones that are asleep as well.
Oh no, not. I mean, I'm not talking about the vitae. I mean, like ale. I have the eat food merit.
Oh, yeah. There are some. We consider a couple of entranced servants that are basically been programmed to deliver food around. And one when you call for a drink, someone hurries over in well, not hurry. It's very robotic walking, and they appear to be again very. Their eyes appear to be cloudy, and they don't even really look at you. And when they arrive at you, they actually bend the knee and hold up the plate of refreshments and food, and don't say a word.
Oh, as I'm checking these refreshments, I find just a very large mug of some form of beer or ale, and I take it from the plate. And before they can stand up, I out of my pocket I just flip out like about, I'd say maybe like 3 florins, and I set it on the plate. And as they stand back up and walk off.
No, they stay there very robotically and wait until you finish. Actually, and
that might be a bit. He is taking his time with this drink.
Oh yeah, they are stuck in that position. It's almost like they're a statue. They're completely frozen, and yet the moment they feel something, touch the plate, immediately begin robotically walking back off again.
I will. Out of character, I will be right back. My dog is going crazy. I apologize.
Madeline just looks at him for a moment. She looks over to the.
Kill that animal! Or just kind of yells out to one of the guards. And then
Madeline
promptly tear off its head.
Madeline just goes over to some of the entranced people, shall we say, and she just goes over and drinks a bit. Not a lot, but she seems to savor it. She seems to sit there for a little while. She just seems to enjoy this act for a little while, and as she just cleans up or just makes sure and just gets back to herself, she just walks over to the Baron again and just Volatish is present, but she will just say, "So, tell me, we have talked of quite a few things. Is there anything new I should know?"
Well, as you can see, I've stepped up security. Other than that, well, perhaps we should have a meeting amongst our family and settle the issue there. Have you tracked down his retainer, by the way?
Orsini's? No. I have been committed to looking into the whereabouts of our other friend, Caliste.
Understandable. Then we can give this time. Probably for the best anyway.
Well, there are more ways I want to deal with this, but well, I am just. She thinks for a second or two, and she just says, "Well, we still have to do a bit of thinking on this, but."
Ah, yes, of course. And then Auric kind of leans into Madeleine's ear. We of course can always discuss it later, as right now Volotej is returning, so perhaps if we turn our attention elsewhere.
Indeed. She smiles and sits down.
Volotej has been oblivious to this the entire time.
No. Auric has the tip of his sword planted in the ground. He has strangely militant, yet very. He's not wearing any armor. It's a lot of posturing.
What kind of sword is it?
Long sword.
Yeah, Volotej is sort of. You might notice that he is sort of looking at the sword a bit.
It's very, very good looking. Has even perhaps a gemstone or two within the hilt. It looks like it's more of a ceremony than an actual fight. Of course, proper military weapons don't usually look this good.
Yeah, Volotej being from Eastern Europe is kind of confused by it as you notice he's looking at it. Very very nice looking sword you have there.
Art just kind of looks down and just raises his eyebrow. You realise that might have been an accidental innuendo.
Yeah, Volotej is just sort of kind of just bewildered by it as he just looks at like the ornate hilt and it's just. But are all swords made like that here? I've never seen something like this.
Only the best quality within this city.
Interesting. Back in my homeland, we used lots of sablas. They are scurf swords. Very good for. It's interesting. They're very good, like for cavalry charges. But I don't know why. But our military still refuses to use them, saying that they're unfit for the. And they're only fit for the peasants and the minor nobles. But They were some of the best when defending the villages, from the stories I heard. Grandfather was a cavalry member himself.
Well, the only curved weaponry you'll be finding within this city will be from our Islamic defenders.
Strange.
Make sure you do not find yourself at the end of the Sejuluk's weapons, however. They also have a penchant for curved swords.
Interesting. Still wish I had my. I still wish I was able to get my grandfather's saddle before I left home. I believe my brother took it after I left. He was always very, very infatuated with fighting. I never understood it. He just fought for no bloody reason at all. He just started antagonized people in the village when we were growing up together. Wonder how he turned out.
If you could not find the reason, then perhaps you're looking in the wrong place. There's always a reason, usually hidden under false context.
He's probably got himself killed by this point. Voltage is just sort of scanning the room. He's just very, very solemn look on his face, like very kind of contemplating, just thinking in his head. But he appears ready to talk if anything is brought up.
Madeline seems to be giving a bit more attention to the rubbing the pictures. She seems to be recreating it in one of her, like her sketchbook, or like when she's scribbling some of it down, it seems.
Tell me, Voltage.
Yes?
He takes a moment to filter through his words. What would you say your talents are? I'm aware that you are a recent arrival to the city now.
Wait, what was that, Chris? It cut out on my end a bit. I'm sorry.
He asks what he would consider his talents to be. He's aware he's a recent addition to the city, or arrival, rather.
Talents, well, I'm very good at making do with what I have. Little home I built for myself. Take, for example, I built small, about one room little hut out in the wilderness with nothing more than my bare hands, some tree branches, some clay and mud, and was able to even get a roof for it as well. So I guess you could say I'm a bit of a survivalist. But I also have always found myself good at archery and music. Music, poetry, writing, it's always been probably one of my favorite things in all of my life, and I just find it such a beautiful thing. I taught myself how to read, actually. Well, that's half truth. I taught myself most of it. A local priest from my village helped me with the rest. Very nice man growing up. He was sort of apprenticed me, I guess, into the writing. I know several languages, though. The language of Rus, Polish, Slavic, French, Arabic. I've always just had a keen heart for writing and singing and performing, and just happy I have that chance in this world. And I know a bit about the wilds. I've had to truly learn of. I have truly had to learn of them to survive in this new life that I lead now.
Do you have any friends out in the wilds?
Friends, not currently. I left many of my friends behind when I left the Voivodate. I knew many gangrels, some, well, of course, a few other Nosferatu. My main friend, though, was my sire and mentor, Levin. Levin was a very caring man. But the two true friends that I currently have might be the only two I brought with me are my pets, Carl and Bjork, the pet wolves that I keep.
You can make a perception empathy roll if you want.
Perception, empathy. Hold on a second. I need to pull up my sheet again. For some reason, I had to turn off the page. I was having some issues with it. Let me find it. This might take a second, so if anyone wants to talk.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. In the meanwhile, well, he's just staring at you discerningly again for the moment. How tall is Volotej?
Voltage, I believe, he's around probably, what's average height for this era?
And for the general average height of a man in the modern era is 5'8", so we can go with that.
Well, he's a little taller than average height, actually.
Okay.
Not much taller, but the main thing is the amount. Well, he's not a giant when it comes to his actual height. I guess you could say like the muscles on his body are kind of making up for that. While he's kind of a very careful individual, he does look like a pure, like, just this very, very bulky and strong animal. Like, he's very heavy set, but not in the sense that he's fat. It's just most of that weight comes from just all like the muscle on his body. It looks like. If someone got into a fist fight with him, he looks like he could probably hold his own pretty easily. And you do probably see some scarring along his skin, bites and cuts and all. Well, I would say mainly bites and like slashes, that sort of thing.
I would say Ulrich is he's a little bit taller than you then, but not by too much. He himself looks
skinnier.
Yes, although he doesn't appear to be. He appears fairly well toned though. Perhaps
All right.
not quite as bulky as you, but still quite muscular and well toned.
All right.
And his gaze is quite piercing. His eyes are deadlocked with yours. And with that MP3 roll, you could say perhaps what you said. With 2 successes, it's probably hard to determine what it is that you said. That's perhaps left him disappointed. This isn't something he's deliberately showing, but yeah, he doesn't appear angry. Just like there's a missed opportunity in you.
I just sort of look at him when I notice and say, "Is there something wrong?" Sorry, I have to ask. This is one of the expressions you made. I was kind of thrown off by it for a moment.
Why would anything be wrong? We're all having a healthy discussion, are we not?
You'll notice that Madeline will just perk up at that, just look at Volotej for a couple of seconds. She seems like that was like you just notice a reaction from her at this when you say that. But
the sword is slightly lifted up off the ground at this point and is sheathed.
Anyways, but yes, mostly I've just been I am new here, but I feel as though I will find my way here in due time. I do have to provide for myself and my pets. They are rambunctious little things. While wolves, they act more domesticated. I raised them since they were pups, and well, I did cool them. At a few years ago, I would say. At this point, hmm. Just trying to. You can notice he's trying to think back to when he ghouled them. I think it was a few years ago.
Well, attack dogs can be useful, but I found in my experience that a more sapient hand is effective.
I guess maybe it's just because I'm not it's by sapient hand you mean human, correct? That's what you
Yeah,
meant?
he's literally
Alright.
referring to intelligence. He's basically stating a more intelligent hand. That's basically what he's saying.
Okay. Yes, he's just he says yes. I've just again not been around many people for very long. Truly, this is the first time I've been in a city for a longer time. Of course, in the Voivodate, the Voids don't really take kindly to what they consider to be lesser than them. So those Samishe, they always look down upon Gangrel and Nosferatu in those territories, thinking that we were uncouth savages, as they would say. They would send their. We would sometimes find their hounds in the forest searching for people. Horrible creatures they would send after people. Disgusting.
I only know of one Dismiso within this city, and he has been rejected.
Never truly understood their kind before. It's strange. Sort of things that would give you sort of old stories that old like horror stories you would hear at night about monsters that would take you away in the night time. Something that should be told to children to keep them in bed and not sneaking out. Something to be told alongside maybe the old story of Baba Yaga or or the Crow Watcher. Oh, I apologize. I'm thinking back again to old stories from the homeland.
The Crow Watcher?
The same could be said of many clans.
Yes. And what did Madeline say?
She asks what the Crow Watcher is.
Actually, I had something written down about this. Let me find it. There's actually This is an actual mythological story to go along with this. Come on, load. Load. Yes, it was. Load, please. Apologize, audience.
What's he doing?
He basically is trying to recall a story in his head because she asked about when I said Crow Watcher.
Oh.
Let me find it in here. Let me find it. Oh no, it was the Nightingale. Not Crow. He just says the Crow Watcher. No, I mean Nightingale. Nightingale. That was it. It was Nightingale, the robber. It was Nightingale, the robber, was this old. He was said to live in the forest. He would sit by a tree near the road and stun us. And he would basically stun strangers he would basically he would scream, all like the grasses and metals become entangled, the azure flowers lose their petals, the dark woods bend down to the earth, and people there all lie dead. It basically he was. They said he was a mad man who stalked the forest, and he would and he was able. He had bird-like features and was able to fly. Terrifying little old story. Said he would pick people up and drop them if he could. It's the old story. Old stories my parents tried to frighten me with to stop me from going out in the forest, but it just piqued my interest. They'd always told me strange stories to try and keep me away. Things like those wee folk that like steal children in the night, or things like that, or wolves that would drag you away and you would become like some silly tales. But it did when I was a child. It did make me travel out of the woods even more to see these strange wonders, but to no avail. Still, it is possible that some stories might have some merit to them.
Hmm.
I would consider that very likely.
Still, I've never heard of one of us being able to turn into a bird and drop people from the sky.
Well, how about you and your new friend, Ivan? How have you two been getting along recently?
I've spoken to him in several nights. He's been quite busy, it would seem, but he seems like a nice fellow. Very, not from, not exactly the sort of a person that I would think of when I would think Nosferatu, but he's a good man nonetheless.
That he is.
Interesting.
And
So I take it you have not met Lucretia either.
Wait, what was that?
He says he. Just gonna read my mic close up to this. He says, "I take it you have not met Lucretia then either."
No, not yet. I've been trying to make time for that. It's just the travel back and forth between my house and the city. It's a hike to say. It is a bit of a hike. I know some people might say, "Why don't you just live in the city or have your house closer?" I've always felt closer to the trees and the fresh smell of the air outside. Well, I do like it here, I will say. I did visit the Jewish quarter the other day, and I had to go through these Arab slums to get there, and just the smells clogged my senses completely.
It does not seem that bad. You
Uh,
made a friend, did you not?
Oh yes, that one. Forgot about him. I hope he's doing okay. You kind of see his Voltage just sort of looks down at the floor, kind of a bit solemn because of, just how he acted. Did he ever he ever show up? Did you ever give him a place to rest? I mean, that child, he looked like he needed it.
I gave the offer, but no, I have not seen him.
I hope the rabbi gave him the letter, because I gave him one saying it was just a small letter enclosed with some money, and just saying, I reinforced the idea of possibly having a nice place to sleep, but to no avail, sadly.
Why?
It's sad to see a child orphaned like that.
It happens to A lot more than you would think.
Oh yes. You reminded me of it. You reminded me of a child that lived in the village when I was growing up. Actually, poor child. I don't know what happened to him. No one in the village does. His parents died, and he just went missing one night. Search parties were sent out, but nothing was ever found.
Mhm.
It is depressing to hear about stories like that, and inevitably people do die, but it is all part of the cycle, I guess you could say.
I would say so.
Still, I wish I was able to. Actually, I had the time the other day to have visited the synagogue, but of course, sadly, it had to be closed. I've been wanting to learn of the Jews for a long time now. I've truly never met one, but it's,
Remember what I said yesterday? You're not missing much, I think.
I know, but I wish to learn of any religion that I hear about. I've always wanted to try and understand different beliefs. It is just something that interests me, theology.
Knowledge, pursuit of knowledge is also a very noble thing.
Yes, yes. I do find the doctrines of Christianity. I do find them very beautiful. It's just I do say sometimes people do take them too far, but there's always an extreme in every case. I've seen it in the old faith of Rus. I've seen it in Christianity, and of course in Islam. I mean, I don't understand why there have to be extremes. I don't understand why people have to keep fighting and killing and murdering.
It is in the nature of man.
Sometimes it is in our nature, it would seem as well.
Our nature, it seems, is just a bit more, well, understandable that we would do such things.
I was taught to Levin, my sire, always taught me that I must keep balance. If we do not have balance, we all eventually will crumble to ash. We have been ascended and cursed in equal measure. We must overcome the problems we have faced with and become closer to being perfect. But it will be a very long time before any of that can happen. So for now, we may maintain a delicate balance between man and instinct, between our true nature and our civilized nature. It's hard to do, but this is our undertaking as I see it. Our humanity lies in that path.
The northern philosopher. Interesting. She smiles. And she just... Well, it looks... Hopefully there will be no ruffians coming. It does not seem so. Which is a good thing. Tell me, Volatesh, what do you make of this person who just came running into the Elysium?
I don't know what much to make of him. I did not know him, but he seemed panicked. Something was truly wrong, and the fact that members of the Knights Templar were chasing him also, I think, reassures that he was in deep trouble.
Indeed.
Now, the one thing I did notice something. After I got punched in the face and fell to the ground, did the whole act to make that Templar feel happy that he had just, believing he had just attacked some poor beggar peasant. I noticed that when I looked up, there was an Arab man who was walking with them, and he smiled directly at me. There was something about him that I did not like. I don't know what it was, but there was something that seemed very off.
The Imam correct? Probably more benevolent than his guard. After all, he is a holy man, not a soldier.
No, it was not like a smile of solemnness or pity. It was more a smile of sarcasm. He was very, I guess you could say, slimy. He smiled at me in such a way to look as though he was incredibly happy, almost happy to see my pain.
Oh, a corrupt holy man then.
Indeed.
There was just something about him, something. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like I know I had not seen that man before, but I feel that in the back of my head I'd seen a smile like that at one point. I don't know. This is just conjecture. It's just something about him. Something. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't figure it out.
They shall not be re-entering this place.
I hope not. If they saw me, if I used the mask again and they saw me again, that knight would probably just try and kill me outright. Man acted like a savage. I acted like a drunk to make him think that nothing was going on, and he was so petty that believing that a drunk had just insulted him, that he would go as far to bring a drunk down and then assault me just because just to make himself feel good.
Such the way of many men in this world.
It's pettiness, and it is revolting. Not to understand it. Anyways, I've been thinking though. It's something about this rubbing here. It's just eating away at me. I just don't know. Knowing now that it's possibly a Malkavian doing that, it just frightens me. I've heard tales of Malkavians before. I've seen some of them firsthand, and they do truly terrify me in the end. The moon has truly broken their minds at this point. I've heard them raving. I've seen them in the forest dancing. In the north, I remember one night that I was simply returning home to my haven. I saw this one man standing in the middle of an open in a clearing in the forest, and he was barking like a mad dog at a tree. I did not wish to approach him, but he somehow still saw me. I tried to simply slink off back into the forest, and he turned around, ran up to me screaming, "Do you hear it? Do you hear it?" And I was petrified. I saw his fangs protruding outward, and I asked him, "What did you see?" And he said, "The goddess's eyes. Don't you see them? They are there." And he was just pointing at this tree. I did walk a little closer, and he had carved a face into it. I did not understand what was going on, and I looked a little bit closer, and in the face that he had carved small little holes for the eyes. He had cut out someone's eyes and shoved them into the tree. There was a body just around it. It was a young woman.
Indeed.
I ran with all my might, and I just heard him screaming. Why did you not accept her? Why did you not accept her? I looked back, and he was gone.
Hmm.
I have always truly feared Malkavians. They are something. It's more than just madness within them. It's something. Something is truly broken them. But the fact that if this was a Malkavian that set up this whole trail of crumbs leading towards this some end goal, I fear what is at that end goal. What does this Malkavian, if it is one, what does it want anyone to find? What has it done?
That is the mystery, is it not? The whole
Yes,
point is to discover it.
but it is what the Malkavian has done is what terrifies me. We don't know, and that it could be one of the most gruesome things that we could find. It could be something utterly just terrible and horrible to behold, and I might just be overthinking this, but but I do believe that this could be something truly terrifying.
It could also be a neonate playing games it shouldn't. At this stage, everything is speculation. There is no need to cause concern where there is none. Not yet.
True. I will not cause concern. It's just I'm just concerning myself mainly here. It's just these Malkavians truly do terrify me. Why? What? I don't understand. Why do they exist? Why? What broke their minds so badly? Why are they racked with this madness? The anger of God, or is it the anger of something even worse?
You are truly a philosopher, it seems.
It's just the nature of the curse. It is largely a mystery.
Madness is a mystery.
At certain points, well, consider this. Generally speaking, our powers and abilities have set limitations and boundaries, but there comes a point where you reach a certain level of magnitude in your strength that those boundaries become more flexible. And as we go further back, I think you'll find that they start to dissipate entirely. That the only limitation becomes one's own imagination, and perhaps what meaning they wish to apply to their power.
It's just I just feel that I adjusted to this new life well, and I understand there is some cohesiveness to most of our to what we've become. It's just I feel Malkavians stand out, while we Nosferatu we are able to hone the powers of talking to the beasts of the wild, and honing the powers of stealth and of strength. And Gangrel have their immense powers of shape shifting and immense fortitude, of course. The Malkavians stand out to me. I just feel that it's just something about them. Their abilities I don't understand. I've never truly seen what they can do, and I don't. That's why I fear it. I fear the unknown, truly. Many people do as well.
It is only natural to fear that which you do not understand.
Yes. When I first learned of the Shmise, of course, I was utterly terrified by them. Metamorphosizers, flesh crafters, bone melders. But after a while, there is cohesiveness to it. Whether we'd like to admit it or if we do not. But the Malkavian madness spreads, and when it spreads to too many, it causes panic, riot, and I worried myself too much, truly.
It would appear so.
Voltage says, at this, I would think it's getting late now. I think I will take my leave.
Very well.
Voltage stands up, bows to the both of you, and begins to leave out of Elysium using his power of obfuscate again, so no one does notice him.
Auric turns towards Madeline. So, now that you've had more time to interact, what do you think of that man?
He seems independent, but I wonder how old he really is, because he seems somewhat young to me. That is the impression I get from him anyway.
He appears somewhat naive and perhaps easy to punish as a result. A shame I couldn't find any leads to use against Calixto, though.
I have some people working on finding him. I will know where he sleeps soon enough.
Additional hands are always helpful, though.
Indeed.
I suppose we should get going as well.
What do you mean?
Just looks a bit like surprised at you, as if you didn't get it.
She has a smile on her face that you can guess that she probably understood you, but she just seems as though she's playing dumb and just like, I don't know what you're talking about. But after a little while, she gets up and smiles at you, and the two of them will leave the main Elysium. And I believe that this is the time where the scene will come to an end.